Half-Life 2 has always been one of my favorite games, and I want to share with you 101 reasons why I love Half-Life 2. This is going to include clips from Half-Life 2, Episode 1, and Episode 2. So, spoilers ahead, and I hope you enjoy. The Gnome. So, you can find a little gnome in the communication center, and if you take him all the way through the game and put him inside of the rocket and then launch him into space, you actually get an achievement. The gnome's probably the coolest object in the game, and it has a little life of his own. The Airboat. The Airboat's my favorite drivable vehicle in the Half-Life 2 universe. It just makes traversing this world so much fun as you take this thing for a spin, and it just glides on land and water alike. There's nothing quite like it, and it makes this game so fun and such a fun way to travel. Exploding Barrels. You know it's a good game when they got red barrels that explode. One of my favorites is to take the gravity gun and just chuck them at the enemy, but be careful cause they can hurt you still.
Rise and shine, Mr. Freeman.
G-Man. You can see him off in the distance in the map in a few locations, and you can go at it in no clip to get a little bit closer. He's definitely the most mysterious character in the Half-Life universe. No one really knows about him. He works for his employers and he wants you to work for him. Is he good? Is he bad? I don't know, but he's super creepy and he definitely makes the Half-Life games so much fun.
Wake up and smell the ashes.
These. Peanut dispensers.
Gordon, grenades!
Grenades. They're pretty fun to use in the game. I really like the parts where you have to throw them through the windows. They're also really useful for the rest of the game, and you can also catch them with the gravity gun and return them to sender. Striders. Throughout the Half-Life 2 games, you're going to run into these really tall, daddy long leg-like things. They're actually super tough and hard to take down, so pretty much you're going to use everything in your arsenal to get it down. But once you manage to take one down, you feel pretty accomplished with yourself. Security cameras. There's a couple points throughout the games where you can run into some monitors where you can cycle through and watch some actual live feed security cameras. I think it's a fun little feature, I enjoy it, and it makes the world that much more fun.
I'm blind as a bat without that flashlight on.
The flashlight. The flashlight's definitely a necessary tool throughout the game because there's some parts that are just so dark you can't see anything without it, and it just makes the game more atmospheric and creepy, and definitely a cool addition to the game. Alex.
Dr. Freeman, I presume.
Even though she's the daughter of Eli and should be pretty smart, she doesn't understand the complexity of stairs, and because of this, later in the game, we try to teleport her into another realm. All jokes aside, she's a great character, and throughout the game she ends up helping you, especially with sniping things from a distance as she just picks off all of these zombies. She also comes by a few times in the game with nice words of encouragement for you.
Do your worst, Gordon.
These poor things. Just such a random detail in the game, and if you open up the locker, you can actually find more nails. Barnacles, or as I like to call them, ceiling suckers. They got these really long tongues that they dangle down and they try to catch things. They're pretty interesting, and it's always fun to try to feed them random objects around the room. But be careful because there's always usually a bunch of them. The alien chefs. This is just a fun little detail in the game that you see very quickly riding down an elevator, and I just absolutely love this detail. It makes me think of the scene from Men in Black, and surprisingly, they still have audio lines.
There is no distance between us.
Being able to do this. The city scanners. There's nothing quite like these floating robots to just take pictures and temporarily blind you. Totally gives you that big brother feeling like something's always watching you. The crossbow. It's so much fun to pin enemies to like the walls and ceiling with this one, and I really do like how the bolts are orange glowing hot, and the travel time on this is one of my favorites in the game as well, because you can just kind of guess where the enemy's going to go and send it off, and hopefully you hit them. It just makes it so much fun to use. Definitely one of my favorites.
It's the Borealis.
Easter eggs. There's quite a few Easter eggs in the Half-Life 2 games, and this is definitely my favorite one, the Borealis. It's a nod to Aperture Laboratories, the people who made Portal and the Valve universe. This is from Back to the Future, this crate. There's also a random dude living in the back of a radioactive sewer, which is pretty cool if you find him.
We are still here.
You can also find in the junkyard one of the original HEV front plates, which is a pretty cool nod to the original Half-Lives. I'm sure there's more Easter eggs, but those are the ones I got. Jiggle. Really just the way things jiggle in this game. I think it's fun, and I like the way things move. Landmines. Throughout the Half-Life 2 games, you're going to run into some landmines. My favorite way to use them is actually go up to some enemy ones, use the gravity gun, pick them up, and then just give them a big old chuck. Just keep in mind, they are dangerous, so watch your step. The health kit. I mean, this thing just looks cool. It's got this random green vial that I like to think you have to take out and drink it. And the sound of it is amazing. Hunter, or as I like to call them, the tripods. They're a pretty terrifying enemy in the game. They're like a three-legged monster robot alien, and they're pretty tough to beat, so watch out whenever you see one. But it's always a challenge, and it feels nice when you actually get it done. The merry-go-round. Definitely some fun shenanigans can be had with the merry-go-round. You can find it in the junkyard. It's definitely a lot of fun to spin it up with the gravity gun and try to jump on it, because sometimes it'll just fling you off of it. It's a good time. The scenery. There's a whole bunch of scenes in the game that just look really cool and really add to the whole world building of the game. Sure, it's not the newest game, but honestly, for when the time this game came out, the graphics look pretty solid.
This steerable rocket launcher is our best bet for taking down a gunship. Who's going to be the lucky one to carry it into combat?
The rocket launcher.
Ah, yes, Gordon Freeman.
It's super fun to use, and I've never really seen it used like this in any other game before. The rocket follows whatever the laser pointer is pointing at, and I just think it's such a fun mechanic. It makes for some super satisfying air combat. It's also fun to use it on the Combine. It definitely feels like an accomplishment whenever you hit one of the ships. Ragdoll physics. There's definitely some fun to be had with some ragdoll physics, whether it be flinging Combine at each other, to watching people do some somersaults, or just watching people do a little bit of a flop. All in good fun. This room. This is one of the first rooms you interact with, and it just shows you the brutal reality of the world you're stepping in. The way this reloads. Yeah, let's see it again. The sewer pipe lady. I don't know why this part gets me. I just think it's pretty funny, and I like to think that she's been sitting there for days. Using water as cover. So there's a really cool part in the game where you stay underwater from some exploding barrels to protect yourself, and I just really like that part. It makes me feel like a secret agent. I think it's a really smart use of the water. There's definitely other parts in the game where you use water as cover, and I just really like how they did that. The soda machine. There's a couple soda machines throughout the Half-Life 2 games. They're so much fun. They're one of my favorite parts. I make it a mission to empty out every single one and at least take one of the cans and chuck it at the Combine because they deserve it.
Lamar, there you are. I thought you got rid of that pest.
Lamar. Hands down the coolest head grab in the game, and I even forgive it for jumping the teleporter with me and completely ruining it, and I think it's the one thing the doc truly cares about.
Never fear, Gordon. She's debeaked and completely harmless. The worst she might do is attempt to couple with your head.
The Lambda symbol. You'll find these marks spray painted throughout the Half-Life 2 games, and whenever you see one, you know that nearby there's a secret cache, something good, or just you're on the right path, so keep your eyes peeled. Man hacks. It makes some of the creepiest noises in the game super unsettling, almost like nails on chalkboard, and it reminds you that you're playing in a world where if you don't listen, they're going to send these small little drones with saw blades to come and saw you. The best way to take them with the gravity gun, just chuck them against the wall. The fact that this actually breaks. Good job, Valve.
Associated
Unplugging TVs. For whatever reason, I get so much satisfaction from it. It's one of my favorite parts of the playthrough. I always look forward to it, and it's just something I truly like. The airships. Half-Life 2's got a couple airships that come in and out of the game, and this one's pretty crazy looking up close. These ones come by and actually drop off a bunch of Combine. You also have to deal with the Combine gunships, which are pretty interesting looking themselves. They have like a giant helicopter blade on the back of them, and they almost look like they're a creature themselves. There's also the helicopter in this game, and if you can see here, I tried to get a good look at it, but it was not having it, and just wanted to shoot me down. Good luck using the crowbar against the helicopter. That's all I gotta say. The civilians.
Was that you knocking? I didn't even know we still had a door.
Just take some time and listen to what some of them have to say.
I don't even remember how I got here.
A bunch of civilians do help you throughout the games, but mostly they just get in the way.
Let me get out of your way.
Good stuff. This part right here. It feels like some weird futuristic Guitar Hero game that I'm not good at, but it's kind of like the real one because I'm not good at that one either. The hacking tool. So Alex carries around this little EMP devices she used to hack through the Combine technology, doors, force fields, and roller mines. It's a pretty sweet piece of tech. The way these windows look. I just think they look really cool. It's like a cool little force field. Impenetrable. The opening music. You know you're getting into something good when you hear this. The console. With things you can do like no clip so you can dolphin dive all around the map and just go through walls is so much fun. Definitely something I recommend on your second or third playthrough, but it just makes the game so cool to explore because you can go into some rooms that you never see otherwise, and sometimes you run into some interesting graphical errors, which is always a good time. You can also spawn some things in the console, like if you want, you can spawn a whole bunch of airboats. Good times. Out of bound leeches. Because everyone likes to be told don't go there by a swarm of leeches. Being able to pick up stuff. I love video games you can just walk around and grab items to your heart's desire. Being able to interact with the world around you is a huge part, and if you like touching stuff, Half-Life 2 is a good game for you. The Vortigaunt, or the alien guys. Throughout the game, they help you, they heal you, they help you traverse the craziness of the cave system, and they fight off all types of bugs, and there's definitely been a few times when they saved me from some zombies. I mean, look at this guy, he's a total beast taking on all these creatures by himself. Gotta give props to them. This machine. Not really sure what it does, but it's always a fun part in the game where you take a couple minutes, spin some knobs, hit some buttons, and pretend like you're a scientist. Trains. Most of the Half-Life 2 games actually start their opening scene with you on a train car, whether that be a working one or a broken one. And I can't not mention the train surfing part. Pretty cool. Just watch out, the trains move pretty quick. The restrictor, or as I like to call it, the thumper. When it's on, it makes a thumping noise and keeps the antlions away, but when you turn it off, be prepared because they're coming in swarms. And it always makes you think of the Tremor movies. Pretty cool. The game physics. Like how objects float and behave in water, which is super believable, especially when this game came out. To how objects behave in the gravity of the game, which is also very lifelike. There's also some physics-based puzzles in the game, and by that I mean heavy objects make the lever fall. This all helps to make the Half-Life 2 world way more believable. The cars.
Hop in, Gordon. Let's hit the road.
There's technically two cars in the Half-Life 2 games. This is like the muscle car, and there's also like the little dune buggy car. And they're both equally fun to drive. They're really a blast, especially with the emergency brake. There's also some cool jumps and ramps you can go over throughout the game, and I really do like how when you drive, you can free look around and it doesn't affect the steering. And now for some fun, smashing things. Zombies, Combine, insects, and pretty much anything you can drive into just makes driving this game such a blast. Something I didn't realize on my first playthrough is there's SMG ammo on the back of the buggy. But you always gotta be careful because sometimes you might just hit something pretty hard. SMG Alt. Super powerful, huge explosion, definitely very useful throughout the game. I just wish that you found more of them, because it's just so fun to use. Breakable Glass. You know it's a great game when you can go around and actually just punch some holes through the glass and it looks pretty realistic. It's just fun little details like this that make this game so much more fun to play.
It's a stalker car.
Stalkers. Definitely some of the more terrifying enemy in the game. They're like half human, half cyborg, half zombie. They just shamble around. They have lasers on their heads. So whenever you see them, it's best to deal with them quickly. Science fiction. From glowing green aliens healing people, to rocket launches, to crazy orbs and portals and extra dimensional beings coming through, Half-Life 2's got your science fiction covered. Movement. I have to say Half-Life 2 and the Source engine in general have some of the best movement mechanics I know of in video games. From walking, to running, to air strafing, to jumping, to accelerated backhopping. There's just so many ways to get around this world, and it's such a precise system that you can do some really intricate things. It all makes getting around the world such a treat. The options. Half-Life 2's got some really great option menus, from the audio and video, to subtitles, to binding keys, enabling console, and just so many more things. Really great. The mag lift. This part's honestly a lot of fun, especially if you've ever wanted to operate a crane, because I think it's pretty cool. It's a giant piece of machinery. You can pick up your buggy, throw it all over. Then when you're done, you can practice stacking some shipping containers. And don't worry about the Combine. I think they're okay with it. This specific dude right here. I mean, look at him. He's like a little scientist. And he's like super fast. And he calls me the Freeman. He's okay in my book. Grenade jumping. Is it really practical? No. But is it sweet? Yes. Using the SMG Alt to bounce yourself to newer heights. Pretty fun, and I definitely recommend it. This thing. Head crabs. There are these creatures throughout the game that are crawling around on the ground, and all they want to do is they want to jump and latch onto your head and turn you into a zombie. It kind of reminds you of the creatures from Alien, but they're pretty sweet and I really like their name. How enemies fight each other. It makes the world way more believable when zombies are fighting insects, you got insects fighting Combine, and there's even some instances of Combine fighting zombies. I didn't have any footage of that, so here's just a zombie Combine. Riding the minecart. There's a super short segment in the game where you're riding a minecart. I just think it's a lot of fun. I don't know why I like the riding minecarts and hitting the zombies, but it's just a fun part for me. Crates. It's always a lot of fun just going around and breaking all the crates. Each of them feels like their own little mystery or loot box. It's like a little present in a breakable wooden box. Shooting hoops with the roller mine. It's actually pretty hard to do it, but once you make it, it feels pretty good, and Alex will tell you good job.
What is it, Tom?
Buttons and such. It's always fun to push buttons. This thing right here. At first I thought it was Potato GLaDOS from Portal, but apparently it's a cut enemy head from the game.
We're still not sure what that does.
I am Father Grigori. You have already met my congregation.
Father Grigori. He's definitely the most nuts character in the game. He lives deep within a zombie-infested zone, and he's just a wild guy.
In Ravenholm, you do well to be vigilant.
This is a gravity gun my father was talking about.
The gravity gun. So you get the gravity gun pretty early on in the game, and it's a pretty powerful tool. You can use it to attract and repel objects, like throw a tire at a zombie, and you even use it multiple times in the game to clear out cards from the road because it's that strong. And once it gets supercharged, you can actually just grab Combine from where they stand and fling them around like a little doll. Antlion. Throughout Half-Life 2, you're going to run into hordes and hordes of these smaller bugs. Get prepared because they're pretty relentless, but don't worry too much because you'll get through it, and just remember to use your windshield wiper. Breakable wood stuff. I'm a huge fan of games where you can just go around and start breaking down fences and boxes. It's just a nice little detail that they added in and they didn't have to, and for that, I say thank you. Creative combat. Whether it be picking up a huge table and flinging it at zombies with the gravity gun, or using a little wooden box as a shield, there's so many ways you can go about playing each level, so each way you play the game is going to be a new experience, and honestly, it's just some really satisfying gameplay. Creepy parts of the game. Whether it be from eerie noises and creepy scenes, to crazy crawling creatures with horrible faces, Half-Life 2 definitely has some creepy moments throughout the games. It's not a horror game, but be prepared because there is some pretty scary parts. The Doc.
All right, Dr. Kleiner?
Oh, hello, Alex.
He's an enjoyable
Gordon
character.
Freeman.
I like his dialogue
It
and
really
he makes
is
me
you, isn't
smile.
I found him wandering around outside.
The Flare. I didn't realize this for my first playthrough, but the flare is actually pretty good. You can use it to light zombies on fire, and it's just a really fun, different way to kind of get through the level. I just wish that there was more instances of it throughout the game, because it's a pretty fun thing. This crazy thing. It's details like this that help build out the world and make you wonder what Father Grigori does in his free time. Seems pretty brutal if you ask me.
Here, I have a more suitable gun for you. You'll need it. Catch!
The double barrel.
Good.
Definitely my favorite way for taking care of zombies. It's just completely obliterates them. And it's got some nice noises as well.
Now let me call Dog. He loves to play fetch.
Dog.
Dog! Come!
I mean, what's not to love about this character? He's a giant metal robot, he lives in the junkyard, he's got his own little metal house, you play fetch with him with giant wooden crates, and there's even parts in the game where he saves you from huge piles of rubble, and then he even gives you back the gravity gun. He's probably the best character in the game. And oh yeah, he's a giant robot that can throw cars like they're nothing. Definitely deserves a spot on the list. The helicopter chase. So there's this part in the game where the helicopter's chasing you and you're on the airboat. It's dropping all these mines, you gotta dodge and weave in between them. And the chase ends up going into like a sewer system. You have to drive through all of these pipes and on top of pipes. And that whole segment is honestly one of my favorite segments out of all of the Half-Life 2 games. Such a great part. The HEV suit, or the Hazardous Environmental Suit. It protects you throughout the game, it helps you sprint, gives you a flashlight, and it makes a cool noise when you put it on. What's not to like? Head crab shells. Whenever you see these, be aware, it means there's head crabs nearby. This is what the Combine send in to spread head crabs and turn people into zombies. Talk about a crazy biological weapon. Laser beams. There's a couple different laser beams that you run into, some that you gotta avoid, others that trigger things like turrets, and some are attached to explosives. It's always fun to dodge some lasers, makes me feel like a secret agent. Paint cans. You can find paint cans throughout the Half-Life campaign, and if you pick it up with the gravity gun and throw it, it actually paints whatever it hits. My favorite thing is to paint zombies, turn them into beautiful works of art. Roller mines, or as I like to call them, these things. They pretty much get attracted to your vehicle and yourself, and the best thing to do is just chuck them off the cliff, because if not, they'll just keep on rolling back to you. And it is cool if you catch them and you're around Alex, she can actually hack them and turn them to be attracted to enemies instead, so the next time you get it near an enemy, it's them who has to watch out. One of my favorite things to do is actually when there's two of them, have Alex hack one of them, and they end up just fighting each other, almost like Beyblade or something. I just think it's pretty fun. Just this really nice rug. Zombie traps. Whether it's lighting zombies on fire in an alleyway, dropping a heavy car on top of some zombies, or even the spinning blade traps. They're all pretty cool, but watch out, they do bite. This poor guy right here. Destined to be zapping on the fence for all eternity. I thought it was a fun little flavor they added to the game. Kinda creepy. Energy ball. This thing is super overpowered and they completely obliterate pretty much anything they come in contact with. Definitely one of the most powerful things in the game, and one of my favorites. You can also use the gravity gun to catch incoming ones and just send them right on back. I would say they're a rare pickup, and I just wish you found more of them throughout the game because they're pretty fun. Lockers. I love games where when you see lockers, you can actually go up to them and open the doors. I don't know, it's just the simple things like that that make me love this game so much.
I think you dropped this back in Black Mesa. Good luck out there, buddy. You're gonna need it.
Crowbar. I mean, what would Gordon be without the crowbar? You can hit things so hard with it, they literally disappear. You can just break random dressers, you can smack a head crab, or if you're feeling it, you could just try to run around and beat the game with a crowbar only. The tabletop teleporter. There's a chance you missed this one on your first playthrough, but it's a pretty fun little thing. You can teleport little tiny objects on it, like a cactus, a book, and a can. Just a fun little thing that I love about this game.
This is a red letter day.
Recycling. Saving Half-Life 2 one can at a time. There's also extreme recycling if you manage to do it. Pretty challenging, but yet rewarding. And there's also my favorite, which is combine recycling. The saw blade. Definitely the coolest way in the game to take care of zombies. Using it with the gravity gun is a no-brainer. Literally just flinging giant pieces of metal, just cutting zombies in half. Definitely puts the manhacks to shame. Turrets. Whether it be enemy turrets that you gotta run up, grab, and chuck, or even take a big old box and throw it at it, to my favorite, turrets that are on your side. You can either place them, or my favorite thing to do is actually just hold them in your hand and walk around with them. It's pretty much like an auto-aim turret that goes with you. I love it. Glass bottles. You know it's a good game when you can pick up some bottles, throw them, and see them break. Theropods. With their nice squeaky noise, it can turn the bugs into one of the most versatile tools in the game. Wherever you throw the ball, the bugs will just swarm up and attack. But just keep in mind, it doesn't work on every single bug in the game. The sounds. Half-Life 2's got some really nice sounds, that's all I gotta say. Making this specific turn right here. So satisfying every time. Zombies. Half-Life 2 was such an amazing, diverse game already, but they went ahead and took it a step further by adding in zombies, and for that I'm so happy. Parts like Ravenholm where you have to fight through a city of the undead, it feels like a completely different game, and it's parts like that that make Half-Life 2 such a gem.
That's not who I think it is.
Eli. I feel like he's definitely the nicest character throughout the game, and he's just awesome.
And look at you, son.
I'm still sad what they did at the end of the game to him. The box art. What can I say? I like the physical copy of this game. I like how it opens up, it's got some cool art, some nice flavor, and I just like it. The Half-Life 2 games definitely have a special place in my heart. Let me know if you think I missed something that you thought was important. And anyways, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you all in the next one.